Over the years, there have been some very important and significant stories happening in Michiana, and through it all, WSJV news teams have been there to bring it to you. That's right. NEWSWATCH 28 is ABC and Fox 28 News today. Mike Brookbank brings us some of the yesteryears in news.
Now, if you'll come with me, we'll start out on a tour, give you a rough idea of what it takes to produce an automobile.
Studebaker, the car company, put South Bend on the map and took up a lot of space on the city's map.
The South Bend plant alone covers more than 171 acres of land.
During the company's heyday, Studebaker employed 20,000 people and produced one car every 45 seconds.
Beautifully streamlined, excitingly new. Studebaker 1950, just for you.
But in 1963, the singing stopped. On December 9th, production ended and thousands lost their jobs and pensions. It's one of the darkest days in Michiana.
We interrupt this program to bring you a special weather bulletin from the WSJV television newsroom.
April 11th, 1965, another dark day. A massive tornado outbreak devastates Michiana.
It just sounded like a freight train coming down through our little woods. And it was churning up the woods in real black, and it got real dark.
The Palm Sunday tornadoes killed 137 people across northern Indiana. Elkhart County was the hardest hit. 5 tornadoes tore through several towns, killing 49 people and causing $12 million in damage.
This was a real mess. Things were flat, and of course they were doing everything they could to lift up the debris to find any more bodies because of the number of people that were missing.
The hospital corridors are lined with the injured and their worried relatives. A hurried call for blood donors brings more than the hospital needs or can handle.
TV 28, WSJV.
January 1976, a major explosion rocks a Michiana business.
The catastrophe occurred at 11:40 this morning at the Acropack plant in the Elkhart Industrial Park. The dense, billowing smoke could be seen for 50 miles.
I saw the roof, front part of the roof, just blow right straight up in the air, and a big bunch of smoke and flames, terrific. It was awful.
More than 100 firefighters from across Michiana fought the fire. Hospitals overflowed with injured Acropack employees.
Approximately 30 to 40 patients brought over here to the hospital and passed through the triage area and have been either admitted or are being treated in the hospital at this time.
August 10th, 1978, 3 Michiana teens died on US 33 between Goshen and Elkhart in a fiery crash after their Ford Pinto was rear-ended.
An ordinary traffic accident? Not really, for it was this fatal traffic accident that brought national recognition to the state of Indiana and the Ford Motor Company.
5 weeks after the fiery crash, a grand jury indicts Ford for reckless homicide and criminal recklessness.
The reckless homicide indictments charge that Ford did recklessly authorize and approve the design and did recklessly design and manufacture the Ford Pinto involved in the crash.
Some say the Michiana crash and the courtroom battle brought an end to the Pinto.
1980 is the last year for the Pinto. But a Ford spokesman says the accident in Dunlap and the publicity surrounding the Pinto had nothing to do with its demise.
The blizzard of 1978 is something people are still talking about more than a quarter of a century later. Before and after pictures show just how bad it was. Nearly 40 inches of snow and 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts slammed Michiana. For those who lived through the blizzard, it's definitely a winter storm they'll remember for years to come. On the 50th anniversary of WSJV, I'm Mike Brookbank.
And we'll have more news of the past 50 years coming up later in our anniversary special.
That includes a look back at weather forecasting and sports coverage over the decades.
Do you realize how much things have changed over the years? Gas prices, Michiana's population.
Well, that's still ahead. We're going to take a trip through our past when our 50th anniversary special continues.
We wish to thank the Menon Company, General Foods, and Lincoln Mercury, sponsors of the Bing Crosby Show, for relinquishing their time so that the following special program may be presented.
Well, we were watching the tornado coming, and we thought it would turn before it got here, but it just kept coming, and we headed for the basement and watched it until it hit our woods, and then we kind of covered to the corner, and it went through. And when we come up, there just wasn't anything left, hardly.
Palm Sunday, April 11th, 1965. After church, a drive on a warm Sunday afternoon, home by dark for dinner. Some predictions for rain or thunder showers, but they don't occur. No one thinks much about it when the wind picks up a bit, just a typical spring thunder shower. Within minutes, a TV announcer says a tornado has been sighted. Then another, then another.
We saw it out of the bathroom window.
Searching through for bodies and injured.
I am not a resident of the area. I came in to help in this disaster with...
Our family is sound and safe down in the basement. I think us went to church this evening. Our children presses out there.
Searching through for bodies and injured.
And the family left early to go to church over Mishawaka.
I have no idea how many are at the hospital. We're sending an officer in now to get some idea.
It's almost unbelievable, really.
We're a little disorganized right now.
Within the short period of an hour last night, northern Indiana was lashed by the worst series of tornadoes ever to strike the state. Our purpose during this half hour is to present the results of that destruction, how it affected a shocked community. Special Affairs Department of WSJV TV.
We started receiving our patients probably about 7 o'clock last evening.
Immediately after the tornado hits, anguished cries for help are heard. The inevitable consequence, naturally, is a certain amount of panic. But even this is coupled with a great courage, as homeowners begin to crawl out of basements, from under tables and furniture, climb women, clutching children close to them. The wind still blows, and there's a heavy rain. Maybe your home is left standing, perhaps it's only a shell. What used to be a comfortable residential area is now a flattened, desolate pile of wood and debris. Many homes have only a foundation to show where they used to be. Somewhere in the block, a baby is crying. The wind still blows and the rain pours down upon the sorry scene, adding to the misery of those standing alone in the night air. It looks as if a giant hand has reached down from the sky and pushed its palm into the earth. Now begins the big job, the job of finding missing persons and cleaning up the destruction. The scream of a siren cuts through the wind and rain, bringing help. The injured must be cared for immediately. Area hospitals are immediately swamped with the injured and the dying. Doctors and nurses are called in, and the injured are administered to in the halls until room can be made.
Well, we started receiving our patients probably about 7 o'clock last evening, and shortly after that time, both our nursing staff and our medical staff, as well as doctors from Wakarusa and Fort Wayne and one fellow from the Air Force, showed up to help us. We've had good control all the way through with the number of people that showed up to help us. We do have an information center now where we're trying to coordinate both the people in Elkhart and the people here in Goshen, as well as some of the areas that we know about as far as the disposition of the individual case, so that we can help relatives get informed information about their loved ones.
The hospital corridors are lined with the injured and their worried relatives. A hurried call for blood donors brings more than the hospital needs or can handle. It's requested then that no more blood donors report to the hospital. Unidentified children found in the wreckage are brought to the hospital for care. There seems to be nothing else that can be done with those children. There is a silence in the hospital that belies the great efficiency with which the doctors and nurses and volunteer first aid men and women are working. They will not finish this job for a long time. But this was what it looked like last night. The sights that met the eyes of rescue workers this morning are even more frightful than were first expected. Reports have it that as many as 70 persons have perished in Elkhart County alone. WTRC newsman Ken Guy is on the story at daybreak. Ken, as many as 15 or 20 persons are reported killed in the Midway Trailer Park alone.
The Midway Trailer Park is perhaps the most devastated populated area hit by the storm. The mobile home park is about halfway between Elkhart and Goshen on US 33. Workers, equipment, and officials working day and night are clearing the debris from the trailer court where mobile homes are piled up, some areas of the park 2 and 3 high. Nearly all of the living units at Midway are toppled or completely destroyed. Cranes and heavy equipment are in that area pulling apart mangled, twisted pieces of what used to be the homes of families. Elkhart County Sheriff Woody Caton reports that looting was discovered only an hour or so after the storm struck. Debris lines the highway. Crumpled cars, like matchsticks, are strewn around the vicinity, giving a junkyard appearance. Many of the families were not in the park when the twister struck.
Midway trailer homes. Tell us what happened last night, George.
It looks like it tore everything apart. We weren't here when it happened, thank God for that.
Where was your trailer?
It's over on the far side over there, about where that man's standing now. Number 80. It's the second one on the corner.
Did you lose everything?
Everything. Everything that was in it.
It's kind of hard to tell from here where one begins and the other lets off, isn't it?
That's right.
How about the injuries out here at Midway? Do you have any idea?
I haven't got any idea. As far as I know, there was about 9 killed last night, from what I heard this morning.
Ken Guy is still reporting from the Midway Trailer Park.
Churches, civic organizations, the Red Cross, and the Salvation Army are on the scene at all the areas hit by the storm. Clothing, food, and shelter are the 3 basic necessities which must be provided for those afflicted by the storm. The Salvation Army, quick to act, is now in the process of making distributions of these basics in many of the areas where they are needed. In the area of Dunlap, most reports say electricity is not available. Battery and generator-operated floodlights are illuminating the grim disaster scene.
Army setup. This is Captain John Shields of Elkhart. Captain, you boys were out here pretty early last night, weren't you?
Yes, the Army was here almost immediately after the disaster. I'd say about 6:30.
Yes.
6:30.
And who are you, sir?
I'm Captain Lovejoy from Goshen. Captain Lovejoy from Goshen.
Did you bring this for me?
Right.
Thank you. Move in here if you will, please. What are these yellow shields you're wearing?
Well, this is an identification that the Sheriff's Department gave to us so we could get in the disaster area. You can't, over in Dunlap especially, you can't get in that area without one of these identification tags.
Probably a good idea to keep the looters out and sightseers out.
I would assume so, yes.
Can you tell us something about how it looked to you last night here?
This was a real mess. Things were flat, and of course they were doing everything they could to lift up the debris to find any more bodies because of the number of people that were missing.
Who provides all this coffee and the sandwiches and the food here?
Right now, we don't know. We've been getting it from restaurants as fast as they can make it. And then other groups, small groups, church groups, and so forth have been bringing it out to us as fast as we could give it out.
Boy, that's wonderful, isn't it?
We've been making chili at our building and bringing it out as quick as we could get it out. And we don't worry about expense. We just say, well, if you want to bill us, bill us. And people have been very cooperative. I might mention this, that we also have a clothing depot down at the building in Elkhart at 158 East Marion, and we'll be giving out clothing, and we've had some tremendous response from that, from people coming in, just bringing it into us. In fact, one of the local shoe stores donated us 350 pair of shoes, new, and so we'll be giving these out.
The reaction of a shocked community, just one of the many volunteer units called to the scene and responding to the scene almost immediately.